Looking back over it, it easily was the hardest thing I've ever done, which is ridiculous given that it was just a ride in our garage. Thank you to the legends at Cervelo. In this box is the ultimate triathlon time trial machine, the P5 Superbike. This new frame is much more stiff, much more light than the previous editions. Couple that with Durace Di2 DT Swiss wheels, it is simply faster. I was on a P5 a couple of years ago when we broke the world record for the Ultraman triathlon, and I am pumped to get back on it going forward. All that's left to do now is get the bike out of the box and build it, and for that, it's off to our trusted mechanic. All right, we're here at High Gear Racing and I'm with the legend Ash McGowan. How are you, mate?
Hi, good.
Now we've got this P5 from Cervelo. Let's sort of unbox it and see what we've got. Huh? Ash, how long have you been a mechanic for?
15 years or thereabouts.
What brought you into bikes in the first?
Just the love of riding them and tinkering and having a bit of an interest in engineering. So it just took me further and further into supporting the more technical aspects of cycling. Well, yeah, I do enjoy the engineering side of it. There is much satisfaction to be had. Basically creating something that doesn't exist to solve a problem that shouldn't have happened in the first place.
When you're racing, you put so much time and money into the sport, your effectiveness on race day is, or how good your bike is on race day is so important. You know what I mean?
Grab the wheel and then lay it on the box.
It's the money shot, huh? That's it. That's the unboxing done. It's time to build it. All right, that's it. The build, P5 with the SRM power meter installed. Thank you so much to Ashley from High Gear Racing. Now it is time to get fitted, to get my body shaped onto this bike to be as effective and as aerodynamic as possible. And so for that, we're going to see Michael Baker from Custom Bike Fit. Let's do it. We're here at the studio of Custom Bike Fit and I'm with Michael Baker. Michael, welcome.
Thank you. Good to see you, Richard.
Absolutely. Now, I've been seeing Michael for a number of years now as my bike fitter, and I would certainly recommend no one else but him.
So it's really one of those jobs, those skills that you learn on the job. So the more people you see, the more fitting you do, the more accomplished you become as a fitter. I've been a bike rider for almost 40 years and I've been doing triathlon now for 28, 29 years. So you bring a lot of that experience to the fitting process. So a lot of what we do, or a lot of what I do is, yes, it's about, there's a lot of technology involved, but it's really about empathy. It's about how would I feel if I was in that position. I can often look at people, I can sometimes better communicate what's going on than they can, if that makes sense. And it's an understanding of what the requirements are in cycling, in triathlon, to make sure that you're comfortable, make sure you're riding efficiently, you're not going to get injured, you're maximising your power and your aerodynamics for speed, those sort of things.
Since 2011, since you started, we've seen in the market, I guess, a evolutionary step with superbikes like the P5
Yes.
behind us. How has that changed the bike fitting spectrum in that, with those sort of superbikes?
Yeah. So what I look for in a bike is adjustability. You know, we see with a lot of superbikes a lot of integration, so cables hidden, and the manufacturer's looking for the most aerodynamic frames. It's getting the right mix of the aerodynamics in the frame and in the components, and then the adjustability, because still the majority of the drag is created by the rider. Yeah. So if we've got a superbike that looks great in the wind tunnel, but we can't adjust it to get you in the right position, well, that's a big cross. There are certain manufacturers, and Cervelo is certainly one of them, that have the right mix. We've got adjustability and we have the aerodynamics in the frame, in the wind tunnel. So yeah, things have changed. I think they've changed for the better.
We go. 100.
Richard, hit the 5
You. Whoa. So 500K in a day, how did we think of that? Ultraman Australia was meant to be that weekend, and if you combine the two cycle legs of Ultraman, you get 420 kilometers. And a friend of mine, Damien Collins, and I, we sort of thought, why not round that up to 500? So that's what we did, all indoors, all on the Wahoo Kickr, and within 24 hours of trying to get it done. We started at midnight, which meant we both got about an hour and a half sleep, which I don't know whether it was the wisest idea, but it was still fun to get up real early and get started. We live streamed it, and everyone came on and gave their comments, and so encouraging and questions as well, that it really made the time go relatively fast. We wanted to work really hard early on. So we knew that a lot of our friends would come online and help and ride with us when the sun came up. So that was sort of 6 o'clock onwards. So we had about 6 hours where we had to work quite hard on the bikes to sort of get ahead of schedule, knowing that it's going to hurt regardless. We worked really hard. We were certainly in sort of the tempo level for about 4 or 5 hours, and just before the sun came up, I just went into the biggest hole. Like, I was cold, I was already really tired, and we still had like 320 kilometers to ride. So in my mind, I'm genuinely thinking, how can I get out of this? But because I was cold, because I was a bit shivery, I sort of thought that maybe with the sun coming up and if I could reset somehow, I would be okay. So at 250 kilometers, we had a break. I had a quick warm shower and got back on the bike, got a fresh pair of clothes, and just felt so much better, and rode through basically. Damo at that point had a low moment for about 50 or 60 kilometers himself, but you know, with that support, everyone online giving that support, it really made the difference, I think. Longest ride before was 280. So we got to 375 and we thought, all right, let's have a break now again. We were getting physically tired at this point. And had a quick break, only about 5 or 10 minutes, and then pushed on. With 100 Ks to go, we had 4 or 5 really good riders with us, helping us sort of on the platform. And we got to 450, 50 Ks to go, and we're like, right, let's have one more break, restock the drink bottles, get it all together, and let's push for the last 50K. And so we hopped back on, I think it was about an hour and 45 minutes of riding left, and within, I think, a total time of something like 14 hours, just a bit above 14 hours, we got to 500 kilometers. And we were both very happy to get off the bikes. The bike was sensational to ride on. The fit was phenomenal. To be able to ride 500 kilometers or 14 hours straight in a bike, new pedals, new dialed position. And I think looking back, it was much harder than Ultraman because I don't think we were terribly prepared, or I know that we weren't terribly prepared for it. because it wasn't a race, because there wasn't a finish line or a world title, for example, on up for grabs, we didn't need to push hard. We could have stopped if we wanted to, but because it wasn't official or otherwise, it made it really difficult to hurt and put yourself in that sort of well. So, but we did. We just drove it as hard as we possibly could, because obviously the faster you go, the sooner you get off. But I think, yeah, in retrospect, I think it was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but super glad that I did. And the other reason why we wanted to do it was that because, you know, we weren't very fit going into that ride at all. We knew that would be a challenge. I hadn't ridden any more than 7 or 8 hours on a bike before. That for us, that was really demanding in terms of setting a goal, putting it out there, and going and achieving it. And so hopefully this experience has put some sort of impression on other people that they too should think about goals that they may not think that that is achievable, and set it anyway and go after it anyway and achieve something that they genuinely didn't think was possible.